Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. You've lived enough years repeating the same day, the same thoughts, the same excuses, the same comfortable patterns disguised as progress. Every year begins with hope and ends with hesitation. But one truth remains: nothing changes until you do. Reinvention is not a slogan, it's a confrontation. It is the refusal to inherit the same version of yourself again. This year is not about improvement, it is about replacement. You will burn the design that failed you and construct one that cannot break. The Stoics called this command over the self, the transformation of thought into dominion. When you decide to reinvent yourself, the war begins within. The body resists the discipline, the mind argues with the plan, the emotions test the will. Every weakness you once tolerated will rise against you. But this is not chaos. This is the forge. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." The very obstacles that seek to stop you become the proof of your evolution. The storm that breaks others becomes your training ground. Each repetition of effort hardens the will, and each act of self-control builds sovereignty. Reinvention is the practice of turning friction into action, into force. You will know you are changing when silence replaces distraction, when focus replaces reaction, when action replaces intention. You will notice it in your posture, in the tone of your voice, in the clarity of your thoughts. The old version of you will fade quietly, while the new one begins to move without hesitation. This is mastery, the ability to govern the internal world so completely that the external no longer dictates you. The Stoics lived this way, unbothered by fortune, untouchable by failure, unmoved by praise. You are not here to survive this year, you are here to emerge from it unrecognizable. Reinvention is not found in what you gain, but in what you refuse to remain. The decision to reinvent oneself is not a moment of impulse. It is the realization that the life you have built, the patterns you repeat, and the identity you carry have reached their threshold. Reinvention begins when you recognize that familiarity has turned into confinement. The Stoics taught that life demands renewal through self-command. The person who does not renew decays in place. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it." Reinvention begins there, in the mind's decision to alter its own direction. Every person reaches a point where improvement is no longer enough. Incremental change preserves the old framework. Reinvention destroys it. The mature Stoic understands this distinction. To become unrecognizable, you do not modify your habits, you reconstruct your nature. The mind must be rebuilt through discipline. The body must be remade as proof of commitment. The identity must emerge from both as an expression of self-command. The process begins with detachment from the old image. Everything you believe you are, your limitations, your personality, your history, was assembled by repetition. What you repeatedly allow defines your outline. To reinvent yourself, you must withdraw allegiance from that version. The Stoics referred to this as mastery over impressions. You must learn to observe the reflexes of your old self without obeying them. Epictetus taught, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This is the structure of rebirth. You must define the new identity with absolute clarity. The words must be carved, not spoken. The reinvention begins in private, long before anyone recognizes it. It is not a declaration, it is a vow. The modern world rewards noise, but reinvention thrives in silence. The Stoic withdraws from distraction to confront their own architecture. They examine the routines that numb their strength, They question the opinions that shape their worth. They dismantle the attachments that weaken their autonomy. Reinvention is the refusal to inherit yourself as a given. Every habit is a vote for the old identity. Every disciplined act is a vote for the new one. The Stoic approach to transformation is arithmetic. What you do repeatedly becomes law. The person who controls their habits controls their fate. Seneca warned that a person drifting through the day without intent wastes their life in fragments. To reinvent yourself unrecognizable, you must reclaim those fragments and assemble them into deliberate form. Discipline is the chisel. Each morning you wake, the previous version of you returns by default. Reinvention means refusing to inhabit that shape. You rise before it forms. You act before its excuses reappear. This is not motivation. It is warfare. Every disciplined act is an act of defiance against the person you used to be. The Stoic trains not for comfort, but for command. They use adversity as resistance. When life confronts them with hardship, they recognize the forge. Seneca wrote, "It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness." Reinvention requires friction. Without resistance, the mind remains soft. Without tests, the will remains theoretical. The one who avoids difficulty avoids evolution. Physical transformation follows the same law. The body is the visible memory of one's choices. The posture, the gait, the expression, they reveal the pattern of the mind. To rebuild the body is to reprogram the psyche. Strength is not vanity in Stoic practice. It is evidence of dominion. The disciplined body becomes armor for the disciplined soul. Identity transformation is the union of both domains. When the mind and body synchronize under command, identity shifts without announcement. People around you begin to sense it before they understand it. Your tone changes. Your silence sharpens. Your presence becomes structure. This is what it means to become unrecognizable. Not theatrical alteration, but the quiet replacement of weakness with will. The Stoics understood reputation as the shadow of character. They did not chase approval because it distracts from formation. Reinvention aimed at attention collapses. Reinvention aimed at excellence endures. The difference lies in intent. The mature Stoic rebuilds for self-respect, not for applause. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." To reinvent yourself unrecognizable, you must establish an internal hierarchy. The rational mind must rule the emotional impulses. The disciplined plan must overrule the temporary feeling. Stoicism is the science of hierarchy, what commands and what obeys. When the mind commands, the body and the emotions serve intention, order emerges. Order produces clarity. Clarity produces power. Each day becomes a battlefield for dominance between the new and the old identity. The old self resists extinction. It tempts through convenience. It whispers through fatigue. The Stoic answers not with emotion, but with procedure. They follow the plan precisely because the plan was made in clarity, not weakness. Discipline is loyalty to the higher mind. Reinvention also requires purification. You must remove the noise that maintains the illusion of progress. Constant entertainment, endless scrolling, idle conversation, these are rituals of self-avoidance. The Stoic eliminates them not out of disdain, but necessity. The quieter your environment, the louder your potential becomes. Modern distractions erode seriousness. To reinvent yourself, you must cultivate gravity. This does not mean pessimism, it means depth. The Stoic carries themselves as if every action counts, because it does. Reinvention thrives under awareness. The person who acts consciously compresses years of growth into months. The past has no jurisdiction over a disciplined mind. The Stoic uses reflection, not regret. Reflection extracts information. Regret recycles weakness. To reinvent yourself unrecognizable, study your past as a strategist, not as a victim. Identify the decisions that constructed your old limitations. Record them, replace them. The past becomes architecture, not identity. Epictetus reminded his students that external events reveal the state of the mind. When difficulty arrives, the undisciplined see punishment. The Stoic sees measurement. Adversity exposes what remains to be built. Reinvention demands exposure to fatigue, rejection, discomfort. These are not obstacles, they are diagnostic tools. Silence becomes training. The Stoic learns to be alone without decay. Solitude reveals how much of your worth depends on others' validation. To become unrecognizable, you must withdraw the need to be seen. You must be willing to build unseen. The value lies in the formation, not the witnessing. The modern person fears starting over. The Stoic welcomes it. Each new beginning is a chance to practice command at a higher level. Seneca advised, "Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life." Reinvention is not delayed by age or circumstance. It is delayed only by hesitation. The body you want, the mind you admire, the life you respect, they exist behind deliberate repetition. Every day spent undisciplined is a vote for the familiar. Every day spent structured is a vote for the new identity. The accumulation decides. Reinvention is not sudden. It is accumulated proof. Confidence follows evidence. The Stoic does not affirm blindly. They build proof through consistent action. When you have acted with discipline for months without deviation, your mind begins to trust your word again. Self-trust is the foundation of power. Without it, ambition is noise. The Stoic also practices detachment from outcomes. Reinvention is measured by alignment, not applause. Success may arrive, but it is irrelevant if the mind remains unstable. The true transformation is unseen, the shift from reaction to regulation. The one who controls their responses has mastered life. The mature Stoic integrates failure into progress. Mistakes are not reversals, but recalibrations. When the plan falters, they analyze without self-attack. Emotional volatility signals attachment to image, not commitment to principle. Reinvention requires emotional neutrality, the ability to adjust without despair. The disciplined mind applies the same structure to every domain. The Stoic treats health, relationships, work, and learning as one continuum of self-command. Inconsistency is fragmentation. Integration creates integrity. The person who maintains principle across all areas becomes immovable. Reinvention is an act of defiance against entropy. The world drifts toward decay, physically, morally, mentally. The Stoic resists that drift through conscious maintenance. Each day they rebuild their order against the pull of chaos. This daily defiance becomes identity. Reinvention is perpetual resistance. There is a moment in every disciplined life where effort becomes nature. What began as practice transforms into instinct. The new identity no longer requires motivation. It operates from principle. This is the completion of reinvention, not applause, not recognition, but internal automation of virtue. The Stoic does not chase transformation through emotion. They engineer it through structure. Morning routines, physical training, journaling, reflection. These are not trends. They are instruments. Each tool calibrates the mind toward composure. The result is unshakable presence. Reinvention also involves the elimination of false goals. The modern world markets distraction as ambition. The Stoic rejects this. They pursue clarity, not accumulation. They measure success by alignment with principle. Wealth, recognition, or influence are outcomes, not the compass. Every reinvention passes through fatigue. There will be nights where progress seems invisible. The Stoic endures through procedure. They know that momentum is built through consistency, not emotion. They move forward because that is the command. Seneca wrote, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Discipline creates that preparation." The reinvention of the self demands honesty. You must face the habits you hide behind comfort. You must acknowledge the years spent drifting. The Stoic does not soften truth. They use it as medicine. Self-deception delays rebirth. The new identity requires exposure to reality without filter. Each morning, the disciplined person begins from zero. They do not rely on yesterday's effort. Reinvention is continuous construction. The past provides data, but the work remains. This mindset prevents complacency. The Stoic remains in motion, refining, correcting, strengthening. To become unrecognizable, you must master energy. Time is finite, but energy is controllable. Nutrition, rest, focus, these become the infrastructure of will. A depleted mind cannot command itself. The Stoic treats energy as sacred fuel for purpose. Conservation becomes strategy. Modern society glorifies exhaustion as proof of ambition. The Stoic recognizes it as disorder. True discipline includes restoration. Sleep, silence, reflection, these renew command. Reinvention fails when the instrument breaks. Maintenance is strength. The mind must be trained to anticipate difficulty. When you expect resistance, you do not flinch. Epictetus advised preparation through premeditation. Imagine loss, delay, rejection, and failure, then meet them calmly. This mental rehearsal creates invulnerability. The Stoic who foresees cannot be shaken. The path of reinvention tests relationships. As you rise in discipline, some will withdraw. Familiarity resists evolution. The Stoic accepts this without resentment. Detachment is protection. You cannot carry everyone into your next form. Select companions who respect silence and action. The rest fade naturally. Every reinvention also demands simplification. Complexity hides weakness. The Stoic lives with clarity. Few possessions, few distractions, few contradictions. Simplicity amplifies strength. When nothing unnecessary occupies the mind, precision emerges. The greatest barrier to reinvention is comfort. Comfort seduces with softness. It promises safety while eroding potential. The Stoic uses discomfort as a compass. Where there is resistance, there is growth. To become unrecognizable, seek the friction that others avoid. In Stoic practice, emotional restraint is not suppression, it is direction. The disciplined person channels anger into structure, fear into focus, pain into strength. Emotion becomes energy under control. This alchemy defines the advanced Stoic. They feel deeply, but they act deliberately. Reinvention requires an anchor. For the Stoic, that anchor is virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. These four stabilize identity amidst external flux. When decisions align with virtue, identity remains intact under any storm. This stability produces respect, first from oneself, then from others. The unrecognizable version of you will not arrive suddenly. It will appear gradually through repetition of aligned action. Others will notice first in small details: your composure under stress, your control in chaos, your precision in speech. The transformation reveals itself through consistency. When you reach that stage, remain humble. The Stoic understands that mastery is temporary without vigilance. The old self waits in dormancy. Reinvention becomes permanence only through awareness. Every day you must reaffirm command. Seneca wrote, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." Purpose directs reinvention. Define your port. Every disciplined act becomes navigation. Drift returns when purpose fades. The Stoic charts the course daily to remain sovereign. To reinvent yourself unrecognizable, you must accept that isolation accompanies elevation. The disciplined path narrows as standards rise. The Stoic accepts solitude as the cost of excellence. Loneliness becomes laboratory. In silence, the self reforms without interference. Reinvention ends where embodiment begins. When your habits, thoughts, and words align, the new identity no longer requires effort. It breathes on its own. The Stoic has become what they practiced. The process is invisible to the undisciplined, but evident in every gesture. The world measures success by accumulation. The Stoic measures it by alignment. When the inner order governs the outer world, recognition becomes irrelevant. Reinvention is internal sovereignty expressed outwardly. The one who governs themselves governs life. Reinvention unrecognizable is not transformation into someone new. It is the revelation of what discipline always concealed. The true self is built, not found. The Stoic walks forward without announcement, carrying quiet power. This is the reinvention worthy of respect, the evolution into command. Walking is one of the oldest forms of meditation. The body moves and the mind follows. Every step is an act of rhythm between control and surrender. The Stoics saw the body as an instrument of the mind and movement as a dialogue between the two. Walking in nature restores that dialogue. It reconnects reason with rhythm, thought with breath, and awareness with the living world. The act of walking is not exercise alone, it is reflection in motion. When you walk in silence through trees and open sky, the mind begins to unravel its tension. Thoughts that once felt heavy begin to move like clouds across a wide horizon. The constant hum of noise, the distractions of the digital world fade into distance. Nature does not demand attention, it invites it. The Stoic learns to listen without words, to think without interruption. Every rustle of wind becomes a reminder of stillness. A daily walk is not a casual pastime. It is a ritual of command. It is the hour where the mind resets its compass. The physical act of movement generates mental velocity. New thoughts appear because the body breaks its stillness. The Stoic recognizes that motion clears stagnation. The act of walking is the act of recalibration. When the legs move, the mind organizes itself in parallel. City streets may carry energy, but nature carries truth. The Stoic seeks the environment that restores proportion. The trees stand without urgency. The sky stretches without complaint. The river flows without resistance. In walking among them, the disciplined person absorbs the same law. Calm is not passivity. It is the power to act without disorder. Weather does not excuse the ritual. Rain, wind, or gray skies are not obstacles. They are conditions. The Stoic walks regardless. The body adapts, the mind adjusts, and the will strengthens. Above every storm is the sun, unseen yet constant. This mirrors life itself. Difficulties are temporary veils over permanent potential. The disciplined person walks through them with steady pace, never waiting for perfect conditions. Each step teaches the body obedience. Each breath teaches the mind patience. The combination produces composure. When you walk daily, you create an anchor between the physical and mental realms. The rhythm becomes familiar, the clarity deepens, and chaos loses its grip. This is the first visible form of reinvention, the disciplined gait of a person in control. Clarity and calm develop in parallel. One cannot exist without the other. The Stoic cultivates both through deliberate motion. When the walk begins, thoughts rise. When the pace steadies, order returns. Clarity is not found in escape. It is earned in rhythm. Gratitude awakens during these walks. The smallest details regain meaning. The pattern of leaves, the sound of distant birds, the cool air entering the lungs, all become symbols of order. Gratitude restores proportion. It reminds the disciplined person that life itself is enough material for reflection. The Stoic does not demand more. They refine appreciation for what exists. The practice evolves naturally. The walk becomes a foundation, and from it, physical training emerges. The body, once awakened through daily motion, begins to request more challenge. The Stoic answers with structure, morning push-ups, sit-ups, and disciplined movement. The transformation of the body is not vanity, it is verification of inner order. Strength training reinforces Stoic principle. Resistance builds resilience. The weight pressed under control becomes an external symbol of internal command. Each repetition is a lesson in patience, consistency, and the conversion of effort into capability. The disciplined body is not decoration, it is armor for the mind. As the body changes, the mind follows. A strong posture creates a strong perspective. When you lift weight with intention, you lift the weight of hesitation in the mind. Every act of discipline reinforces the hierarchy of self, the rational will governing the physical form. The Stoic understands that self-respect is built through repeated victories over inertia. The combination of walking and strength forms balance, motion and resistance, flow and force. This duality refines composure. The Stoic learns to move with fluidity, yet stand with solidity. Reinvention requires both adaptability and foundation. The disciplined person walks with calm, but trains with fire. The integration of both creates symmetry. Nature amplifies awareness. As you walk, you witness the silent order that sustains life. Every tree stands exactly as it must. Every season arrives with precision. The Stoic learns to imitate that discipline. No complaint, no delay, no rebellion against the necessary. The natural world becomes a manual of stability. The rhythm of the walk mirrors the rhythm of the breath. Inhale discipline, exhale disorder. This is not poetry, it is physiology. The Stoic uses the breath as a tool of command. Controlled breathing trains the nervous system to align with reason. Calm is built biologically before it manifests psychologically. Over weeks of daily walks, a quiet transformation occurs. The noise of thought softens. The mind begins to sort itself without force. Creative ideas surface uninvited. The Stoic recognizes this as mental fluidity, the ability to think without friction. The body moves, the mind clears, and awareness sharpens. When the Stoic finishes the walk, they return not to distraction, but to direction. The environment no longer dictates their pace. They dictate the environment through presence. The serenity of the walk remains as residue throughout the day. This is the portable form of calm, internal stability carried into every action. Calm does not mean the absence of tension. It means control under tension. When the disciplined person encounters challenge, the lessons from walking return. They have trained the body to move forward regardless of resistance. The same principle applies to thought. Progress continues, even in difficulty. Clarity emerges as the natural outcome of calm. The mind that is not clouded by agitation perceives truth sharply. Decisions become precise. The Stoic gains efficiency because energy is not wasted in emotional turbulence. Clarity is economy. It directs effort toward what matters. The connection between physical movement and mental strength becomes undeniable. The disciplined person notices improved focus, deeper sleep, sharper reasoning. The walk, once an exercise, becomes an alignment ritual. The Stoic does not separate health from philosophy. They merge as one continuum of command. As the seasons change, the walk adapts. Winter cold teaches resilience. Summer heat teaches endurance. The Stoic does not resist nature's extremes. They integrate them. The environment becomes an ally in training. Each condition hardens the will and humbles the ego. Physical reinvention becomes evidence of inner hierarchy. A body trained with discipline no longer serves impulse, it serves intention. When the muscles strengthen, so does the capacity for restraint. The Stoic learns that power is not in dominance but in direction. The body obeys, the mind governs, and together they form identity. This process eliminates hesitation. The act of walking, training, breathing, and reflecting daily dissolves procrastination. The Stoic understands that action generates clarity. Waiting for motivation is submission to inertia. Reinvention begins not with inspiration, but with repetition. Every disciplined act compounds. Each walk adds to endurance. Each repetition builds integrity. Each controlled breath strengthens composure. Reinvention is built on accumulation, not spectacle. The results arrive silently, revealed in the way you carry yourself, the steadiness of your voice, the precision of your choices. Nature teaches proportion. The mountains do not hurry to grow, and the rivers do not struggle to flow. The Stoic internalizes this. They understand that progress has its own tempo. Consistency outpaces intensity. Walking daily teaches patience, the ability to advance without agitation. The Stoic's walk becomes an act of gratitude and confrontation at once. Gratitude for existence, confrontation with weakness. Each step away from comfort is a reminder that life demands participation, not observation. The body in motion honors the gift of vitality. When fatigue arises, the disciplined person does not retreat. They adjust their pace and continue. This is endurance, the proof of purpose. Every step taken in fatigue builds resistance to surrender. The Stoic finds pride in persistence, not in perfection. The simplicity of walking conceals depth. It is the physical metaphor for the Stoic journey, steady, grounded, directional. The destination is not the point, the progression is. Each walk becomes a rehearsal for composure in life's larger movements. As physical training deepens, the Stoic applies the same rhythm of patience to more intense routines. Weightlifting, calisthenics, or running become extensions of the same principle. The body, once sluggish, learns obedience. The disciplined person becomes both architect and instrument. Reinvention of the body creates a visible aura of command. Posture straightens, gaze steadies, presence strengthens. People sense the change before they comprehend it. The Stoic's composure speaks without language. The transformation is not declared, it is demonstrated. The body's vitality fuels the mind's clarity. Energy replaces lethargy, and awareness expands. A healthy body becomes a strategic advantage. The Stoic uses this advantage not for vanity, but for service, to think better, lead better, act cleaner. Walking among trees becomes walking among principles. Each tree reflects endurance. Each gust of wind reflects impermanence. The Stoic observes, learns, applies. Nature is not backdrop, it is teacher. The more one walks within it, the more one aligns with its law, stability through adaptability. Over time, the walk turns sacred. It becomes a vow to never drift again. The steps are no longer casual, they are affirmations of direction. Each stride is a sentence in the book of discipline. The Stoic understands that motion itself is meaning. Calm and clarity merge into posture. The body that walks daily and trains deliberately radiates equilibrium. It stands as evidence that order is possible. The Stoic becomes both student and symbol of nature's balance, quiet, resilient, purposeful. In walking, you discover that greatness is not found in intensity but in return. The return to discipline each morning, the return to silence each evening, the return to nature as guide. This constancy is the foundation of reinvention. The disciplined person no longer seeks transformation. They live it. When the walk ends, the day begins. The mind carries the same rhythm into work, thought, and interaction. The clarity earned in motion governs the still moments. This is the Stoic advantage. Action creates peace. Peace creates power. Reinvention begins in motion. The person who walks daily trains both endurance and awareness. Their feet carry them through the external world, while their mind traverses the internal one. The result is integration. Mind, body, and purpose align under one rhythm. That is how reinvention begins, in movement, in silence, in mastery of both worlds. Discipline is the visible form of reason. It is where philosophy leaves theory and becomes movement. The Stoics never separated the mind from the body because they understood that philosophy must be lived through structure. The disciplined life is the body obeying the intellect. When you rise early, train consistently, and regulate your habits, you are practicing applied philosophy. Every act of discipline is a declaration that chaos no longer commands you. The modern person often seeks motivation, but the Stoic seeks order. Motivation is an emotion. Order is a system. Motivation fades with mood. Order functions regardless of feeling. The disciplined person does not ask how they feel about training. They train because that is the command. This is how the will becomes sovereign. Each act of obedience to principle is an act of liberation from weakness. Morning discipline is the anchor. When you begin the day with structured movement, you set the tone for every subsequent decision. The Stoics believed that how you begin determines how you endure. The body awakened early becomes the mind awakened early. Routine is not confinement, it is command. Every repetition reaffirms that you control the hours. Physical discipline refines perception. The moment you engage in difficult physical effort, the mind learns precision. Weightlifting, running, cold exposure, calisthenics. Each of these acts requires focus under strain. They train the ability to remain composed while uncomfortable. This is the Stoic battlefield. The external resistance mirrors internal resistance. When the body learns endurance, the mind imitates it. The disciplined person trains not to display strength, but to maintain alignment. Physical exercise becomes a moral act. The Stoics viewed the body as a vessel of virtue. It is the field upon which courage, temperance, and endurance are practiced daily. Every drop of sweat is evidence of internal coherence. The one who trains regularly sharpens more than muscle. They sharpen resolve. When fatigue appears, discipline replaces emotion. The Stoic does not negotiate with difficulty. They execute procedure. This teaches emotional control through repetition. Each session becomes a dialogue between reason and resistance. The body resists motion. The mind commands it. Over time, that command becomes instinct. The disciplined person learns to act cleanly, without debate. Nutrition, sleep, and recovery form the structure around effort. The Stoic views them as part of the same moral discipline. Gluttony dulls thought. Restlessness weakens judgment. Balance maintains clarity. The disciplined person treats food as fuel, sleep as restoration, and recreation as refinement. Nothing is excess. Everything is intentional. Daily structure transforms time from an enemy into an ally. The Stoic divides the day with precision: early rising, training, reflection, study, service. Each period carries purpose. The schedule becomes armor against drift. The person who organizes their day governs their life. Disorder begins when time is left unguarded. Advanced discipline removes choice from essentials. The Stoic does not waste decision on habits already defined. When the alarm rings, the body rises. When the training hour arrives, the work begins. Freedom is preserved for higher thought, not logistics. This is mental efficiency. The disciplined person eliminates friction through consistency. The power of structure lies in momentum. Each day completed with order strengthens the next. The person who trains for 30 consecutive days carries more than muscle. They carry evidence. Evidence becomes confidence. Confidence becomes calm. The Stoic's calm is not genetic. It is earned proof that they can rely on their own word. Every action must have intention. The Stoic does not move without purpose. Random activity dilutes willpower. Precision intensifies it. Training, diet, and rest are not isolated. They are integrated. The disciplined person creates a feedback loop between body and mind. When the body strengthens, thought sharpens. When thought sharpens, behavior aligns. Physical adversity is the classroom of composure. Cold, fatigue, hunger, and discomfort reveal the truth of one's principles. The undisciplined react. The Stoic regulates. Exposure to hardship builds callous in the spirit. The one who chooses difficulty in training develops serenity in crisis. Stoicism is not comfort. It is control under any condition. Consistency is the highest form of strength. The disciplined person repeats excellence quietly. There is no performance, no announcement, no deviation. Each repetition, each disciplined morning, each meal prepared with intent, reinforces identity. The new self is constructed not in bursts of inspiration, but in years of unbroken rhythm. Advanced discipline introduces variation with purpose. The Stoic adjusts routines to maintain growth while preserving order. Intensity is applied strategically. Rest is earned deliberately. Balance is maintained through reason. The body's signals are observed, not obeyed blindly. The disciplined person listens without surrendering command. Structure extends beyond physical activity. The Stoic applies the same rigor to speech, consumption, and interaction. Idle talk is reduced. Useless information is filtered. Energy is preserved for what aligns with purpose. This is environmental discipline, the external reflection of internal control. Every morning begins with the same premise. Today is a test. The disciplined person uses the day to measure strength against circumstance. Whether in work, physical effort, or interaction, they remain composed. This composure is not accident, it is conditioning. They have rehearsed calm through repetition. The advanced Stoic integrates moments of stillness into their structure. After exertion comes reflection. This alternation between force and quiet keeps the mind clear. Meditation, journaling, or silent observation of nature are not indulgences. They are calibrations. The body is tempered through strain. The mind is tempered through silence. The discipline of sleep becomes sacred. The Stoic retires early, not as avoidance, but as investment. Recovery is preparation for tomorrow's command. Every hour of rest strengthens decision. Fatigue is the enemy of reason. The disciplined person guards rest as fiercely as effort. To live without structure is to live at the mercy of impulse. The Stoic knows that freedom exists inside form. The unstructured life appears open but collapses under chaos. The structured life appears rigid but breeds mastery. The person who controls their time controls their fate. Advanced discipline is not obsession, it is refinement. The Stoic balances intensity with grace. They understand that the goal is not exhaustion, but elevation. Efficiency replaces excess. Every action must either strengthen or purify. Anything that does neither is removed. The disciplined person prepares before dawn. They align their space, tools, and intentions before the day begins. Preparation eliminates hesitation. The Stoic believes in forethought as armor. When the day arrives, execution becomes automatic. This is the philosophy of premeditation applied to action. As physical and mental strength converge, the disciplined person experiences a shift in presence. They no longer chase calm. It emanates naturally. Their energy becomes composed, their expression grounded. This is the aesthetic of mastery: stillness under strain, direction without display. The advanced Stoic sees discipline as an ecosystem. Each habit supports another. Morning training enhances focus. Focus improves work. Work enriches purpose. Purpose strengthens sleep. The cycle becomes self-sustaining. Reinvention stabilizes when this system becomes instinct. Routine sharpens judgment. The person who lives with order identifies disorder immediately. In thought, in environment, in association. They correct quietly and continue forward. This vigilance is the mark of mastery. The Stoic does not wait for collapse to adjust. They maintain alignment daily. The modern era rewards stimulation, but discipline rewards stability. The Stoic rejects the need for constant novelty. They find challenge in repetition. Mastery is repetition perfected. Every disciplined act deepens command. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when done with full presence. The disciplined person remains teachable. They refine form, improve efficiency, and correct errors with humility. Pride blocks progress. Observation accelerates it. Stoicism values awareness over arrogance. The master remains a student of precision. Advanced structure includes deliberate detachment. The Stoic withdraws regularly from noise to preserve focus. Digital silence, solitude, and fasting are tools of purification. Each absence increases appreciation. Reinvention requires space to hear the mind clearly. The rhythm of the disciplined life simplifies decisions. What once caused hesitation becomes automatic. Training happens without debate. Meals align with function. Rest occurs without guilt. This economy of willpower frees energy for higher pursuits: study, creation, and virtue. To maintain discipline under success is the ultimate test. Many lose order when comfort increases. The Stoic guards against this decay. They treat progress as maintenance, not completion. Every victory requires reinforcement. Reinvention never ends. It evolves through vigilance. The disciplined body influences the world around it. Presence commands respect. Consistency inspires without speech. People respond to order instinctively. The Stoic does not seek admiration. They embody example. Leadership arises from stability. Discipline produces peace because it eliminates chaos. When every area of life is governed by intention, anxiety loses ground. The Stoic does not chase serenity. It is the natural byproduct of structure. Peace is not found, it is built. To live the disciplined life is to live awake. Each decision carries weight. Each action follows law. The body serves the mind, and the mind serves virtue. Reinvention becomes visible not through transformation of appearance, but transformation of presence. The Stoic moves through the world as architecture, defined, grounded, and unshakable. When discipline matures, it becomes elegance. The effort once visible becomes effortless. The routine once forced becomes identity. This is the final evolution of reinvention, the disappearance of struggle and the emergence of seamless order. The Stoic has become the system they built. The disciplined person wakes before the world, trains without witness, and speaks with restraint. They live as proof that philosophy can breathe through muscle, motion, and composure. This is Stoic physical discipline. Philosophy made visible, strength made silent, order made life. Mental fortitude is the crown of discipline. It is where structure graduates into strength and order becomes endurance. The Stoics defined it not as suppression, but as self-command under all conditions. When the mind becomes immovable, external forces lose influence. A person with mental fortitude no longer negotiates with difficulty. They operate through it. This is the unshakable posture of reason in motion. The mind, like the body, must be trained through repetition. Each challenge becomes a set, each adversity a repetition. Every moment of restraint strengthens the fibers of composure. The Stoic treats frustration as resistance training for the intellect. The heavier the difficulty, the greater the gain in stability. Where others break, the disciplined mind consolidates. Mental fortitude is not inherited, it is constructed. The Stoics believed that the soul grows through tension. When you confront what disturbs you and remain centered, the mind reforms itself around strength. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Every hardship becomes a chance to refine control. The untrained mind obeys emotion. It reacts, defends, and exaggerates. The disciplined mind observes emotion, measures it, and redirects it toward principle. This separation between impulse and decision is where fortitude begins. The Stoic practices this separation daily, training to pause before reaction and to think before speech. Each pause is a brick in the fortress of the mind. Emotional regulation is the art of holding command over your inner climate. Storms will always form, but the Stoic learns to navigate them without being swept away. They do not aim to eliminate emotion, but to domesticate it. Anger becomes energy under guidance. Fear becomes awareness. Grief becomes perspective. Every feeling becomes fuel when directed by reason. Epictetus reminded his students that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Mental fortitude begins with interpretation. When something goes wrong, the Stoic asks, "What depends on me and what does not?" By separating the controllable from the uncontrollable, they conserve energy for what matters. This clarity is armor. Fortitude matures through exposure. Avoidance weakens the mind. The Stoic deliberately faces small discomforts to maintain control under larger ones. Cold, hunger, fatigue, delay. These are not punishments, but training grounds. When you learn to endure them willingly, you remove fear from circumstance. Courage is built by repetition of endurance. The disciplined mind operates from hierarchy. Reason commands emotion. Emotion informs reason, but never rules it. This balance allows for full human experience without surrendering to chaos. The Stoic feels deeply but decides calmly. The strength lies not in suppression, but in precision of response. Mental fortitude also demands solitude. Silence becomes the gym of the mind. In stillness, the undisciplined person encounters their own noise. The Stoic refines it. Solitude exposes attachment to distraction. The one who learns to think alone becomes unbreakable among crowds. Independence of thought produces independence of life. Every thought leaves a mark. The disciplined person audits their internal dialogue as carefully as their physical habits. They remove exaggeration, complaint, and self-pity. In their place, they install gratitude, clarity, and direction. The mind gradually reorganizes around these structures. This is mental architecture, the deliberate design of thought. Emotional control is most visible under pressure. When insulted, the untrained react instantly. The Stoic maintains silence. They understand that anger is the confession of dependency. To be provoked is to surrender control. Mastery begins when external agitation fails to penetrate inner order. Mental fortitude is measured not by what you endure once, but by what you endure consistently. Anyone can act composed briefly. Only the disciplined sustain it under repetition. The Stoic builds resilience through continuity. Each day of mental steadiness accumulates into permanence. To strengthen the mind, one must practice reframing. The Stoic does not say, "I suffer." They say, "I am tested." The language shifts identity from victim to strategist. Perception becomes a tool of transformation. Adversity loses its sting when viewed as curriculum. Every hardship becomes an instructor in patience. Mental fortitude also depends on simplicity. Complexity multiplies anxiety. The Stoic simplifies thought, focus on what must be done, discard what cannot be changed, and act with integrity. This triad forms clarity. A clear mind endures because it is not divided. The disciplined mind trains anticipation. Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, imagining possible misfortunes to neutralize fear. When reality strikes, they are not surprised. Expectation removes shock, and shock is the seed of panic. The prepared mind remains still because it has already visited the event in thought. The Stoic also practices detachment from praise and blame. External validation is volatile. Internal validation is sovereign. Mental fortitude requires self-approval based on principle, not applause. The disciplined person does not rise with compliments or fall with criticism. They remain steady because their compass is internal. When emotion surges, the Stoic breathes. Breath is the physical anchor of reason. Deep, deliberate breathing slows reaction and reactivates awareness. It turns panic into presence. This practice links the body and mind through control. Each breath is a reminder that composure is a choice. Stoic calm does not mean indifference. It is active engagement without agitation. The mind stays involved but unentangled. The disciplined person can act with intensity while remaining peaceful. This paradox defines mastery: fire directed by logic, passion contained within purpose. The mind's resilience grows through failure. The Stoic does not avoid mistakes. They analyze them without judgment. Failure provides information, not identity. To regret excessively is to waste the lesson. Fortitude means retaining motion after setback. The disciplined person adjusts and continues. Mental fortitude also protects against emotional contagion. The Stoic does not absorb the instability of others. They maintain internal independence. When surrounded by anger, they remain calm. When surrounded by despair, they remain clear. Their steadiness stabilizes the environment. Composure becomes influence. Thought discipline extends to focus. The Stoic eliminates mental clutter. They think about what serves purpose. Distraction is treated as weakness. Attention is currency. It must be invested wisely. Each moment spent focused strengthens the will. Each moment spent drifting weakens it. The disciplined person separates identity from emotion. Feelings are weather, identity is climate. The Stoic observes emotion without identification. They say, "I feel anger," not "I am angry." This distinction preserves control. Ownership over reaction is the foundation of emotional regulation. Emotional regulation deepens through compassion tempered by logic. The Stoic understands others' suffering without drowning in it. Empathy becomes action, not sentiment. They help when possible and accept when not. This balance prevents burnout while preserving humanity. The Stoic also practices forgiveness, not as indulgence, but as freedom. Holding resentment enslaves attention. Forgiveness releases energy for discipline. To let go is not to excuse, it is to reclaim command. Mental fortitude requires clean focus, unpolluted by grudges. Stress becomes training when observed correctly. The Stoic sees tension as data. It reveals attachment points and exposes weak areas of control. The disciplined person studies their reactions like a scientist. Every emotional surge teaches where mastery is incomplete. Awareness transforms discomfort into progress. Mental fortitude requires boundaries. The Stoic protects their environment from disorder. They regulate inputs, people, media, habits that erode clarity. The mind reflects what it consumes. Guarding attention is not avoidance, it is discipline. The fewer intrusions, the greater the focus. Patience is the purest expression of strength. The Stoic endures time without agitation. They understand that control includes rhythm. Impatience is resistance to reality. Patience is harmony with it. When you master patience, you master peace. This is emotional sovereignty. The disciplined mind does not chase constant positivity. Stoicism values neutrality. Neutrality allows judgment without distortion. The world is neither good nor bad, it is interpretive material. The Stoic extracts meaning without attachment. This neutrality creates stability even in chaos. Mental fortitude thrives in the present. Regret drags backward. Anxiety projects forward. The Stoic remains anchored in immediate reality. Action exists only in the present moment. Awareness of this truth eliminates wasted thought. Every second regained strengthens composure. The Stoics' internal dialogue is concise. They speak to themselves in commands, not complaints. Stand firm, observe, proceed. These phrases anchor behavior. The mind, when spoken to with authority, obeys. Mental self-talk is not empty affirmation, it is directive control. Emotional regulation also means proportion. The Stoic responds to events in scale. Small inconveniences receive small reactions. Great losses receive measured reflection. Exaggeration is disorder. Balance is order. This proportionality defines wisdom. When adversity repeats, the disciplined person deepens their stillness. Agitation does not accelerate resolution. It prolongs confusion. Calm shortens suffering by clarifying perception. The Stoic approaches crisis with clean logic. The clearer the mind, the faster the solution. Mental fortitude depends on renewal. The disciplined person restores their energy through solitude, reflection, and physical care. Mental exhaustion leads to emotional instability. Rest is not escape, it is reinforcement. The Stoic treats recovery as part of discipline. The mind must be reminded of mortality. Memento mori, the reflection on death, sharpens perspective. When you remember that time is finite, emotion loses excess. Trivial irritations dissolve. What remains are the essentials: virtue, purpose, and presence. Mortality strengthens serenity. Emotional regulation matures into equanimity. The Stoic accepts joy and sorrow with equal grace. They understand that both are transient. This detachment creates constancy. The disciplined person becomes a fixed point in a shifting world. Mental fortitude is the absence of internal noise. It is the capacity to sit in silence without craving distraction. The Stoic who achieves this hears their thoughts clearly, orders them rationally, and acts with precision. Their calm becomes gravity. Others feel it instinctively. Resilience does not require denial of pain. The Stoic acknowledges pain as sensation and studies it. They ask, what lesson hides within this discomfort? Each moment of reflection transforms suffering into structure. Pain becomes a teacher, not a ruler. When the mind reaches fortitude, emotion becomes servant, not saboteur. Anger serves justice, fear serves caution, desire serves purpose. Nothing is wasted. Every feeling is converted into function. The disciplined mind wastes nothing, not even suffering. Mental fortitude integrates with physical discipline. The two reinforce each other endlessly. A strong body sustains a steady mind. A steady mind commands a strong body. This union forms the complete Stoic. They are no longer divided between thought and action. They live as one mechanism of order. The disciplined person learns emotional minimalism. They no longer indulge in unnecessary drama. Simplicity in feeling mirrors simplicity in living. Calm replaces excitement. Purpose replaces distraction. The mind becomes still, and stillness becomes power. The Stoic also understands that emotions are signals, not sentences. They point toward imbalance or desire. The disciplined person listens without being governed. They correct the source instead of amplifying the signal. This creates emotional intelligence, the ability to decode and direct internal energy. Mental fortitude expresses itself through patience under misunderstanding. The world often misreads calm as detachment and restraint as weakness. The Stoic does not correct perception. They embody truth quietly. The longer they endure misinterpretation, the more unshakable they become. The disciplined mind is prepared for loss. They rehearse detachment to avoid collapse. Possessions, reputation, even loved ones, all are temporary. This reflection does not diminish love. It refines it. To appreciate fully, one must be ready to release completely. Stoic fortitude thrives on principle. When decisions align with virtue, emotional turmoil decreases. Integrity simplifies life. The mind ceases to debate what is right. It already knows. This clarity frees energy for creation and service. Emotional regulation requires humility. The Stoic accepts that they are not immune to weakness, only trained to respond differently. Each lapse becomes instruction, not failure. Improvement replaces perfection as the goal. This humility prevents arrogance and sustains growth. The ultimate sign of mental fortitude is serenity under chaos. When the environment collapses, the disciplined person stands unmoved. They act without panic, speak without haste, and decide without fear. Their calm alters outcomes because it alters perception. Seneca wrote, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." The Stoic interprets this as the final victory, the domination of thought, emotion, and impulse by reason. This is true power, the ability to remain undisturbed while still engaged, detached yet compassionate, firm yet kind. In this state, external success becomes secondary. The disciplined person seeks mastery, not applause. They walk through life as quiet architects of stability. Their composure commands respect more than any performance could. This is the presence of fortitude. Mental fortitude and emotional regulation complete the architecture of Stoic reinvention. They form the invisible foundation beneath action and speech. The disciplined person no longer reacts to the world. They regulate it through example. Their calm becomes a law others unconsciously follow. The person who has achieved this state does not declare transformation. They simply live it. Every movement, word, and pause carries order. They are no longer at war with themselves. The mind has become the ruler, the emotions its loyal ministers. This is the unbreakable state the Stoics pursued, a mind that governs with wisdom and a heart that obeys with grace. Will is the final expression of discipline. It is the quiet force behind every act of mastery. The Stoics understood will as the soul's endurance under command, the refusal to yield, the capacity to continue without permission from emotion. When all else collapses, will remains. It is the final bastion of the self. The unbreakable will is not dramatic. It is deliberate. It does not shout. It does not seek validation. It simply does what must be done. The Stoic treats will as the spine of virtue. Without it, courage falters, temperance wavers, and wisdom loses clarity. Will is the governing line that holds all strength in formation. To build an unbreakable will, one must first remove negotiation from effort. The disciplined person acts without requiring comfort. They train when tired, focus when distracted, and persist when unrewarded. This constancy transforms will from emotion into identity. Action without variance becomes character. The will strengthens through friction. Ease breeds hesitation. Resistance breeds certainty. The Stoic does not seek pain but uses it. Difficulty sharpens determination. Each obstacle becomes material for construction. When the world resists, the will gains shape. The mind must learn to issue orders without indulgence. The Stoic does not debate their purpose daily. They reaffirm it through execution. Decision becomes reflex. This is the architecture of mastery. Principle directing behavior without delay. To hesitate is to invite weakness. Endurance without direction is suffering. Endurance with direction is power. The Stoic endures not to survive, but to advance. Every act of persistence has a purpose beyond itself, to harden the will for higher command. Pain is no longer an interruption, but an instructor. The unbreakable will treats fatigue as illusion. When the body weakens, the mind takes command. When the mind falters, principle takes command. This chain of authority ensures continuity. The Stoic never stops because there is always a higher commander within. Mastery begins where excuses end. The disciplined person no longer speaks of difficulty as reason for delay. They see difficulty as confirmation of the path. The will interprets resistance as necessity. This perspective creates invincibility. The one who expects hardship cannot be broken by it. To master the will, one must control attention. The Stoic directs the mind toward the task at hand with absolute focus. Distraction fractures will. Concentration fortifies it. The ability to sustain focus through discomfort defines inner strength. The Stoic trains to stay in command regardless of environment. Will grows when comfort is denied. Modern life weakens the will through convenience. The Stoic reverses this. They fast from excess, simplify routines, and embrace voluntary discomfort. Each denial strengthens the muscle of control. Every rejection of ease tightens resolve. Dominion is the second pillar of mastery. The Stoic will not only endures, it commands. It bends circumstance toward order. When chaos rises, the disciplined mind reorganizes it. This is not control of the world, but control within the world. The inner hierarchy so firm that external disorder cannot infiltrate. Will directs energy like a lens, focuses light. Scattered energy burns out. Concentrated energy burns through. The Stoic channels every effort through intention. They do not waste movement. Every action reinforces command. This focus transforms ordinary labor into power. The unbreakable will refuses to surrender agency. Even when stripped of choice, the Stoic chooses response. When confined, they discipline thought. When insulted, they discipline speech. When injured, they discipline recovery. The world may limit circumstance, but never sovereignty. Mastery also requires self-forgiveness applied through reason. The Stoic recognizes that failure is a natural component of repetition. They correct without collapse. Shame drains energy, correction restores it. The will survives mistakes because it values direction more than image. Every day becomes a test of loyalty, to principle, to endurance, to clarity. The Stoic sees will as devotion to their highest potential. It is the contract signed between mind and virtue. To break it is to betray oneself. Therefore, they remain unwavering in presence, even when unseen. The unbreakable will lives through routine. Structure removes the opportunity to falter. When every hour has a defined purpose, hesitation has no room to grow. The disciplined person builds walls of consistency around their focus. Predictability becomes protection. To master oneself is to master repetition. The Stoic performs essential acts daily until they become instinct. Training, reflection, silence, work. The same rhythm repeated until variation disappears. Mastery requires monotony. The ordinary done perfectly becomes extraordinary. The will is tempered by solitude. In isolation there is no applause, no reinforcement, no witness. Only the command remains. The Stoic uses solitude to strengthen independence. The absence of validation purifies intention. They continue not for reward, but for alignment. To test will, one must endure stillness. Motion distracts. Stillness exposes. In silence, every weakness speaks. The disciplined person listens, studies, and corrects. Will grows strongest when it must act without momentum. The Stoic integrates emotion into will. They convert anger into drive, sorrow into understanding, desire into discipline. Nothing is wasted. All energy is redirected toward purpose. Emotional mastery completes willpower. The unbreakable mind uses every feeling as function. The will also governs speech. Words are energy made sound. The disciplined person speaks with precision, never wasting force on complaint or exaggeration. Their voice carries weight because it originates from clarity. To speak with restraint is to demonstrate inner law. The Stoics' endurance extends beyond personal struggle. They remain composed amidst the failures of others. They do not lose patience with ignorance or weakness. They teach through example. Their calm becomes a mirror through which others recognize disorder. The unbreakable will demands vision. Without purpose, persistence erodes into exhaustion. The Stoic defines their objective clearly, aligns all energy toward it, and moves with quiet certainty. Vision transforms will from survival to creation. When pain arrives, the Stoic does not seek escape. They study it. They observe where the mind collapses and rebuilds those points of weakness. Pain becomes feedback. The stronger the response, the deeper the insight. Each trial leaves the will sharper than before. True mastery cannot coexist with self-pity. The Stoic views self-pity as rebellion against reason. To lament reality is to waste energy on the unchangeable. Acceptance is not resignation, it is redirection. Once accepted, energy returns to action. The unbreakable will also requires restraint. Power uncontrolled becomes destruction. The Stoic knows when to act and when to abstain. Mastery is measured as much by what one resists as by what one accomplishes. Control defines greatness. The disciplined person builds an internal hierarchy. At the top sits reason. Below it, emotion and impulse. Below them, habit and instinct. Every level obeys the one above. This chain of command ensures stability under chaos. The will enforces the order. The Stoic who reaches mastery walks through adversity with calm precision. They are not void of emotion, but void of panic. When others break, they adjust. When others despair, they plan. Their stability becomes their signature. Mastery also includes adaptability. The Stoic does not confuse rigidity with strength. The unbreakable will bends strategically, but never breaks. Flexibility preserves endurance. The one who adapts under pressure multiplies longevity. Will is tested most when success arrives. Comfort tempts stagnation. The Stoic anticipates this. They maintain hunger within satisfaction. They continue training when the world applauds. This vigilance prevents decay. Mastery demands perpetual motion. The unbreakable will finds peace in pressure. The more demand placed upon it, the more defined it becomes. Adversity is no longer opposition, it is confirmation. Pressure verifies preparation. The Stoic seeks it not for glory, but for calibration. Mastery refines how one handles uncertainty. The Stoic does not require control over outcomes. They require control over conduct. When faced with the unknown, they act from principle, not prediction. This detachment grants clarity even in chaos. Each morning begins with reaffirmation. The Stoic reminds themselves, "Today I will govern myself." The statement is not emotional, it is operational. Every decision throughout the day refers back to that single command. This repetition ingrains permanence. The unbreakable will remains silent under insult, firm under pressure, and patient under delay. These three qualities, silence, firmness, patience, form the triad of mastery. Together they create immovable dignity. To maintain will under despair is to transcend circumstance. The Stoic recognizes that even in tragedy, choice remains. They may lose possessions, status, or comfort, but not principle. This recognition prevents collapse. Dignity becomes armor. Mastery includes endurance through monotony. Greatness is not built in moments of excitement, but in seasons of repetition. The Stoic does not chase novelty, they refine consistency. When others tire of the process, they remain engaged. This constancy compounds power. The unbreakable will is unemotional toward victory. Triumph does not inflate the ego, nor does failure reduce it. Both are viewed as feedback. The Stoic moves forward with the same pace regardless of outcome. Equilibrium is the mark of maturity. As will strengthens, fear dissolves. Fear thrives in uncertainty. The Stoic thrives in control of self. When internal stability is absolute, external risk loses threat. Courage emerges naturally. The disciplined person no longer needs reassurance. They trust their capacity. Mastery produces quiet confidence. It does not announce progress, it embodies it. Others recognize it through stillness, not speech. The unbreakable will communicates through conduct. Every motion signals composure. The Stoic views life as a sequence of commands executed under shifting conditions. Joy, grief, success, failure, all are different terrains requiring the same discipline. The unbreakable will navigates them with identical poise. Emotion changes the weather, not the route. Endurance transforms into serenity. The person who persists long enough discovers that resistance loses novelty. Challenge becomes routine, and routine becomes peace. The Stoic reaches a state where hardship no longer feels hostile. It feels natural. The unbreakable will transcends ambition. It ceases to chase outcomes and focuses entirely on the process. The act becomes the goal. This detachment grants freedom. When action is reward enough, motivation becomes infinite. To achieve mastery is to operate under internal law. The Stoic no longer needs external reminders or approval. They have become their own command center. Thought, emotion, and action are synchronized. The mind governs cleanly. The body obeys immediately. The will enforces without question. When this level of self-command is reached, peace replaces desire. The Stoic no longer needs control over others because they have achieved control over themselves. The world cannot tempt or threaten them. They live within unshakable equilibrium. The unbreakable will is not born from arrogance but from humility, the acknowledgement that discipline must continue forever. There is no finish line. The Stoic continues refining even when mastery is achieved. Endless improvement becomes the creed. In this final form, the Stoic embodies still power. Their presence is felt more than their words are heard. The air around them carries stability. They stand as evidence that a human being, when trained through discipline, clarity, and endurance, can become immovable in a changing world. This is the summit of Stoic mastery, the unbreakable will. A mind that commands itself without conflict, a body that follows without hesitation, and a spirit that moves forward without fear. It is the quiet dominion of the self, the victory that requires no witness. Reinvention is not an act of becoming, it is the return to command. The long road through discipline, fortitude, and will leads to this: silence within movement, order within motion, strength without display. The Stoics understood that greatness is not born in moments of glory, but in the quiet repetition of virtue. The one who governs themselves governs destiny. When the mind obeys reason and the body obeys purpose, fate itself bends to direction. You are no longer rebuilding, you are maintaining an empire of self. Each morning, each breath, each disciplined decision preserves what has been forged. The person who began this path is gone. In their place stands the architect of stability. You no longer chase transformation, you embody it. The body moves with precision, the mind speaks with restraint, and emotion follows command. This is sovereignty in motion. Do not look back for recognition. The past cannot measure the person you have become. The noise of others will not understand your calm, and that is proof of elevation. Continue the ritual, train the body, guard the mind, honor the structure that rebuilt you. Mastery does not conclude, it circulates. Reinvention becomes rhythm, rhythm becomes nature. When storms rise, you will not break. When praise comes, you will not soften. The same composure that carried you through hardship will now sustain you through peace. The disciplined life requires no witness. It verifies itself. You have crossed the threshold from control to command, from effort to embodiment. This is where Stoicism becomes living proof. The will unbroken, the mind unshaken, the body unwavering. A human being aligned with law instead of impulse, with virtue instead of vanity. Reinvention is no longer a goal, it is your state of being. The old self dissolved in fire, the new one moves through the world like stone shaped by centuries. You have become unrecognizable not because you changed, but because you finally returned to who you were meant to be.